Hello and welcome to Mostly Vintage Cameras. This is a Nikon F3. Now I've previously made a video about the F3 on how to install batteries and which batteries the camera will use. However, the F3 was the first pro SLR camera from Nikon that had to have batteries to access all the features. It did also of course have additional features such as automatic exposure, which you didn't necessarily get on the other cameras. Because of this, Nikon incorporated a mechanical backup speed. So with no batteries in the camera, so even if I turn the camera on, a bit stiff on this one, the shutter speed or the shutter won't function. However, this lever here is a secondary shutter release. Now it's a little bit fiddly because it is flush against the camera. You don't want to trip this accidentally, but it is a faff to pull outwards. Just slides that way slightly. There we go. So in this position we can now fire the shutter by pressing here. We get one shutter speed, or one timed shutter speed perhaps I should say. There are actually two ways of using this. So now I'm getting 1/60th of a second, which is also the marked flash synchronization speed on the shutter speed dial. Flash sync on this camera is actually 1/80th of a second, but you need to use a dedicated flash unit in order to get that. This has got the little, I think it's an AS4, so you can either use an SB16, I think it's an SB16B that goes directly on there, or you can use the AS4 to adapt it to a more regular flash unit. But if you're not using a dedicated flash unit, you'll need to use a 60th of a second shutter speed. So I can fire it in ambient light at a 60th, or I can use it with flash lighting. Now there is a second way of using the mechanical speed, which often gets overlooked. So if we look at the shutter speed dial, we've got automatic exposure, all the shutter speeds down to 1 second, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds, and then we've got a bulb time. Now generally in bulb time, if you press the shutter button and hold it, the shutter will stay open, and you'll usually use this in conjunction with the cable release. We've also got an X setting, which is a flash synchronization setting or a secondary synchronization setting. That would also give you the 80th of a second. And a time setting. So we've got bulb and time. Now time differs to bulb because you don't have to keep the button pressed. So now if I mechanically trigger my shutter, the shutter stays open. You can't really see it staying open. And to end the exposure, I have to turn this dial off the T setting. So I can either fire it at 60th, or in a slightly faffy way, I can have a timed exposure. Now you've probably realised that there's a problem with that. If I'm jiggling this, and I'm twiddling that, I'm shaking the camera. I can't use the cable release in that mode. So there is a way around that. I've shown it a couple of times on mostly vintage cameras, but I'll go through it as it relates to the F3. I'm just looking around me for something suitable. This will do. This is an Ezio computer monitor coffee bag. These are promotional coffee bags I'm giving away at a show. So the way I would use this on a tripod in time mode is I would set the dial to time. I would cover my lens with something suitable, open the shutter, and I still haven't started the exposure because no light's going through the lens. So then I would remove this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, cover that again and turn the shutter speed dial. And that gives me a 5-second long exposure, or as long as I want, a minute, 10 minutes, whatever it might be, without having to jiggle the camera. The other thing worth noting is if you do have batteries in the camera, the time mode doesn't actually wear the batteries down. In bulb, you are using the electromagnet to keep the shutter open. In time mode, you're using a mechanical interrupt to keep the shutter open. So there you have it. Time mode and a 60th of a second. Obviously with that you're going to be thinking in terms of Sony 16 rule or something of that nature. Anyway, just a quick video to talk about mechanical backup on an F3. Hope that's been of interest or use to somebody. Thank you for watching, I do appreciate it.